the main purpose of this experiment is to calibrate the control rods of the Cartini reactor. So the calibration of the control rods is one of the main thing that we do at the Cartini reactor, where we do the calibration of the control rods twice a year, because we do this as part of the maintenance of the reactor, where part of this is, besides we do the calibration to know the characteristic of a certain control rod, we also need to know what is the time that it is needed for the control rod to fall from 100% to 0%. According to the safety analysis report, the Cartini reactor, a control rod must fall from 100% to 0% within 600 milliseconds. So if it is above that, we must do some repairs and adjustment to the control rod. So besides doing the calibration of the control rod in the Cartini reactor, hopefully we are able to determine the control rod reactivity using a reactivity graph according to its position, and the changes in reactivity according to its height versus its height. But mainly we will focus on the changes between its reactivity and its height only. So if we have time, we will discuss about this, but if not, we will mainly focus on this. And next, we will try to calculate the total reactivity of all the control rods in the reactor. And then we will try to calculate the core excess of the reactor. And finally, we will calculate the shutdown margin of the reactor. So just so that we are all on the same level, a control rod is a mechanism that is used to absorb neutrons and try to control the power of the reactor. Where to control this, they absorb the excess neutrons, and then they will change the amount of neutrons that is available inside of the core. The control rod itself can be made out of several elements. So like the one that we have here in the Cartini reactor, we use boron carbide, so B4C. But other reactors, they have different types of material that is used for control rod. For example, the one that we use in Serpong, the MTR that is owned by Indonesia, they use AgINCD. So silver, indium, and cadmium, which is they alloy into one material and then they use it as a control rod. So the material that is being chosen as a control rod depends on the power that is used. So for example, if we use cadmium instead of boron carbide as the material for the control rod, it will be not as sensitive compared to when we use boron carbide. Also, another point that we have to know is that typically the number of control rods are dependent on power. So as I mentioned before, in Indonesia there are 3 nuclear reactors, which 2 of them are trigger type. So the one in Kartini, it is 250 kilowatt design trigger reactor, and the one in Bandung is a 2 megawatt design trigger reactor. They have different amount of control rods. So for example, in Yogyakarta, the one with 100 kilowatts, we only use 3 control rods, regulating, a compensation, and safety rod. But in Bandung, which has a power up to 2 megawatts, they have up to 7 control rods. So the amount of control rods are dependent on the power level that is used in the reactor. So the reactivity of the control rods are dependent on several things. So first of all is the type of the material used. So here the stainless steel is not, we don't use stainless steel as a control rod, but here it is used as the cladding for the control rod itself. But the materials that we can use are either boron, silver. Okay, then another thing that besides the types of material used, there are other things that influence the reactivity of a control rod. The second thing is the physical dimensions of the control rod itself. So, for example, if we have a different geometric size of the control rods or a different density of the material that we use, we will have a different reactivity profile of the control rod. So here, for example, the control rod that we use in the Cartini reactor, all of them are made from boron carbide. And if you remember earlier from today, the position of the control rod for the safety rod and the compensation rod are both at the C ring. So they have the same distance from the center of the reactor core. But due to them having different densities, where one is made from solid boron carbide, while the other is made from boron carbide powder, they have different properties in reactivity. And the other thing is the position of the control rod inside the core. So the third control rod in the reactor Cartini, which is the regulating rod, is situated in the ring E, where at the ring E, it is a lot further from the center of the core compared to the compensation and the safety rod. And then the fuel configuration, where it depends on the amount of fuel, where the amount of fuel will change the amount of the material of uranium-235, which is available inside of the core, where the amount of uranium-235 will have an influence on the core excess and the shutdown, and in turn will influence the shutdown margin of the reactor. And finally, is about the burnout of the absorbing material within the control rod. So as I said, the control rod here are made from boron carbide, where the boron itself is made from two isotopes of boron, where namely boron 10 and boron 11. Boron 10 is a lot more absorbing compared to boron 11, while boron, when they absorb neutron, when boron 10 absorbs neutron, they will become boron 11, which has a lower microscopic cross section compared to boron 10. So the burnout of the control rod has a factor in the control rod reactivity. Okay, so this is the layout of the Cartini reactor grid. So as we saw earlier today, so this is the central thimble, and then these are the control rods at, oh yes, this is not that correct. So it should be C5 and C9 and E1. I believe this is, yeah, this is not that correct, but yeah, it has the same information. So basically, the central thimble is at A1, and then the control rod is at C5, and then at C9, and the regulating rod is at E1. And they are all made from boron carbide, with the boron, which has a cross section of 3,837 barn, where the reaction when boron interacts with neutron is boron 10. They will absorb the neutron and then become boron 11, which in turn boron 11 will transmutate over time by changing into lithium 7 and helium 4, and emitting the alpha with the energy of 2.73 mega electron volt. So boron 11, they have a comparatively long decay time, so sometimes they are also considered in the calculation of the reactivity of the control rod. So this is the control rod mechanism. So this is the guide tube for the control rod, so that there is a special tube for the control rod that sits inside of the reactor core, so that when the control rod is shut down for scram, it will not fall out of place, so they will always stay inside of this guideline. And this is the mechanism that we use at the Cartini reactor. So this, we use electromagnets, where the electromagnets is pulled using a rack and pinion system, where this rack and pinion system will raise and lower the control rod according to the demands of the operator. While if there is a scram, the electromagnet will automatically disconnect the current to the electromagnet, and then it will lose its ability to hold the control rod, and the control rod will automatically fall to its zero position. So that there is no damage on the control rod materials, there is like a stopper here, so that the control rod will not fall from its position to zero minus, say, minus 10%, because there is a stopper that will hold the maximum limit of the where the control rod will fall. This is a thing that we must consider when we are doing this practicum, where we need to take care of the reactor period, where the reactor period, as I said before in the previous experiment, that the period is the time needed to increase the power up for E times, where E is 2.7182 times. And the smaller it is, sorry, disregard this part. The smaller it is, it means that the time that it is needed for the power to increase is a lot more rapid. So here at the Cartini reactor, we try to limit the period up to 7. So later today, when we do this experiment, there are a few things that you have to take note. The first thing is the control rod position, and then the reactivity, which is shown in our monitor, but also see the period, where seeing the period knows when the control rod has been stopped being raised. So this is a graph on how we change the power. So first of all, when we operate the reactor at a certain power level, it is constant. And then when we raise the control rod, it will not increase linearly, but there is like a slow slope, a slow rise in the reactor power. And then after we increase it further, there will be almost linear increase in its position. And when we stop, it will not automatically stop, but it will stop very, very slowly until we reach the desired position. So it is almost like an asymptote at the end. So next, we will try to talk about the core access. So this is a schematic of the reactor inside. So for example, we will do it like this. We have 3 control rods, and then this is the reactor core, where we have a detector, where here we use a CIC detector, the compensated ionization chamber detector, where the compensated ionization chamber detector will give an output in the form of a current. The current will be gained by the amplifier and preamplifier, and then it will be connected to either the reactivity computer or the ampere meter. So here we will see the changes in the current by looking at the reactivity computer or the ampere meter. So using the ampere meter, we will see the changes in power 1.5 times or 2 times, depending on how we calculate. Or using the reactivity computer, the reactivity computer will actually calculate and convert the signal that we have into K. So we know that the reactivity is K minus 1 per K. So they will automatically output this, and then we will have the output in either in dollars or in cents. So here, this is how the detection system works. And here we talk about the core access. So the core access is the remaining excess reactivity when the reactor is critical at 0 power. So as I mentioned previously in the previous experiment, the lowest power level where we can reach criticality is at 10 watts. So for today, we will do all our practicums all in 10 watts. When we are at 10 watts, the control rod position will be similar to something like this. So one will be at 100%, 2 will be also at 100%, and then the third will be typically at between 9 to 10%, depending on the control rod that is being calibrated. And here, the core access is the ones that are inside of the reactor core. These are the core excess inside. So core excess is the total reactivity reduced by the reactivity of the control rods that are outside of the core. Another thing that we have to calculate here is the shutdown margin, where the shutdown margin is the capability of the control rod to shut down the reactor, assuming that the control rod with the greatest reactivity is unavailable, or in this case, it is stuck. So if we trigger scram and somehow one of the control rod, and assuming the control rod with the largest reactivity is unavailable to drop or stuck, this is considered the shutdown margin, where so the shutdown margin can be calculated as the total reactivity reduced by the reactivity of the stuck rod and reduced by the core excess. Okay, so here we would like to talk about the experiment regarding the equipment that we use for today. So today we can use either the Keithley picoammeter or the reactivity computer, but we have already set up our equipment to be using the reactivity computer because it will be a lot easier and it will be not be influenced by the delay of the signal from sending the data from here at the control room to Malaysia, because if we use the picoammeter from Keithley, we have to be very sensitive because we are trying to take note of the time that it takes to increase the power 1.5 times. So for example, from the current is 0.2, and then we have to take note of the time needed for the current to change from 0.2 to 3, and then from 3 to 4.5, 0.45, and then from 5 to 7.5, and so on. So using the picoammeter is better to be done when you are in person here at the Kartini reactor, because it is very prone to error using when we use teleconferencing. Therefore, we will be using the reactivity computer. And to do this with the picoammeter, we will be using a stopwatch, but we will not be using this today. And then also a reactivity graph, which is the graph of reactivity of the control rod, which is based on the manufacturer of the control rods versus its time and its reactivity. And this is also unnecessary for this experiment. So basically, the things that we will be using today are only the reactivity computer, and then you will be making a form that will be you will fill, and then you can calculate using that form the reactivity of the control rod. So the procedure of doing this is, we first of all we set up by connecting the reactivity computer with the compensated ionization chamber and set its output into cent dollar. And then first we will try to do the calibration of the regulating rod first. In doing this, we will have to raise the compensation and the safety rod to 100%. And then we raise the regulating rod until we reach criticality at 10 watts. And then we rapidly raise the regulating rod so that the reactor becomes supercritical until its period will be near 10, which is the recommended value, but sometimes we can go to up till 10 seconds, the period. Just do not go near 7. And then we observe the reactivity computer and note the values of the highest reading from the reactivity computer, and also take note of the values in position of the regulating rod. After this is done, we lower the compensation rod until it reaches the initial power level. So we keep the regulating rod at the second position, but we lower the compensating rod to keep it until its initial power level. So for example, the first one was 100, 100, and then 10. And then we do the calibration, so it becomes 100, 120. But the position of 100, 120 is, say, for example, is at 100 watts, which is over the initial value. So therefore, we will lower the compensation rod to, say, for example, 195 and then 20, so that we will have the power level of 10 watts. So we will repeat this until the regulating rod will be fully up. And then after the rod is fully up, we will return the regulating rod to its initial position to start the rod drop. When we do the rod drop, it will be done very rapidly, and then we will get the value from the control rod's reactivities from my example from 10 to 0, because we started the calibration from 10. And then finally, the calibration of the compensation and safety rod is done using the same method. So here we have to note that when we raise the control rod, the reactor period should be not less than 15 or 10 seconds, depending on the operator, to prevent scram. Because when the period is below 10, sometimes the supervisor, they get a little bit anxious because they don't want the scram to happen. So this is the form that you have to fill. So this is the one if you use the picometer, but the one that you will be filling is something like this. So you have to take note of the position, and then the reactivity, and then the sum of all the reactivity, and also the changes in reactivity compared to the changes in height.